Hi guys, Josh Munday here, and you've just heard me play the big shimmering chords from Walking on the Moon by The Police, released in 1979. Andy Summers is known for those big modulated chords and that beautiful space that he gets from that sound. So we're going to have a look at the 4 elements of tone, break it down and see how we can reproduce that with the Boss GT-1 multi-effects. Now we're going to take a look at the 4 elements of tone, I like to call them, which is the guitar, the pickup and the pickup selection from that guitar, the amplifier, type, and also the effects. And by effects I don't just mean delays, reverbs, choruses, things you might run into the front of the amp or with the amp in some way, the effects loop or some other configuration, but also anything that affects that tone, which can be the mic placement in front of that amplifier, the angle of the mic, the type of mic it is, whether there's a room mic involved, how loud that room mic is within the mix, what that room sounds like that it's in. And then also post-production effects, any delays or reverbs that were added afterwards, how it was mixed and the mixing desk, and even the mastering process. Firstly, the guitar. Andy Summers is known for using Telecasters, and this is a bridge pickup sound, a very sharp Telecaster single coil sound. And while I don't have a Telecaster, I do have a single coil in the back of this Strat, which will suffice to start with. So it's a bridge pickup sound. We'll select the bridge pickup. Next, the amplifier type. And now I've researched this and I can't find any particular verification about the amplifier that he used. It sounds very Marshally to me, very bright, sparkly with a little bit of breakup, very bright Marshall. So we'll go with that as a reference tone. Then of course we have the modulation effect, which could have been a chorus or a flanger, but it's definitely some type of modulation effect. We have a delay and some space, and we'll add some reverb and some space. So let's start adding those elements one by one on the GT-1. Okay, so I'm starting with everything off, which is always the best place to start tone design in general, because you can't know what's on if you start with everything on. And just like a room full of gear, you wouldn't walk into a room full of gear and turn everything on. So let's just build it up piece by piece. Firstly, the amplifier. So we press preamp here in the signal chain, press edit, which will take us into our signal chain. We can see what's in there. At the moment, we only have an amplifier on. Press enter, and it shows us the parameters of that particular amplifier. So we have a Marshall 1959 channel 1, which is the quite bright channel. Gain very low, like 9 there. It's very low amount of gain because we want it to be a fairly clean sort of tone. If we press enter, we go over to the page and the next parameters here. So we have bass, middle and treble. They're all basically on halfway. There's not too much tweaking, and I don't want to do too much tweaking yet because you want to hear what this plain sound of the amplifier sounds like. We go over the page here. What I have done though is I've changed the speaker type to a 4 10-inch speaker cap rather than a 412. It has a slightly more mid-range focus and changes the tone slightly. So let's have a listen to how that sounds by itself, just with the bridge pickup of the Strat. So it already has some of those nice characteristics. It's nice and bright, it's very mid-range focused. So this time I'm going to use a flanger, although it could be a wider sort of chorus effect as well, but let's turn the flanger on first in the modulation section. So hit modulation there, we press it twice to turn the light on, and I have a flanger selected, rate fairly low, 30, it hasn't got too much movement in it, depth 50 because it is quite wide, so let's just have a listen to that. Has that nice detuning effect at the end. Now really we need that time delay exactly like it is in the song. Let's add that. Press delay on. I've already timed that at 340 milliseconds, I'll put 342. This is also a modulated delay, so it does have some slight movement in that as well, which will contrast with or blend in with the flanger. So let's have a listen. Okay, we're getting quite close now, but what it doesn't have is a lot of sustain to it, which obviously with a clean sound, you get more dynamics, but you lose a lot of sustain in that. So we'll add some compression to keep that sound fairly consistent in volume as we go along. So firstly, compression, let's turn that on. I've got the sustain quite high up at 74. Gives it a lot more time, travel time to hear that movement at the end of the signal. And finally, a fairly large reverb. So I've put a plate reverb at 2.5 seconds long, effect level at 59, so it's a fairly high effect level as well. And that should be about it. So there we have it. That's how to recreate the sound from Walking on the Moon with the Boss GT-1 multi-effects. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.